So the topic could easily have been this, simply because the demography of the country is so youth-oriented. So when we talk of youth markets, are we talking of the whole marketplace itself? Because anybody today, whether he's selling soap or he's selling insurance or he's selling videos or whatever, has to include the youth as part of their target group. So this could easily have been a topic for reaching markets in India and not just the youth markets. Or alternately, it could have been even this, using social media to reach youth markets, period. The reason I say this is that in a very connected world today, the world is small. Time was when the Indian youth were different from Western youth or from Southeast Asian youth, but we all use the same iPhones and we download the same music and see the same shows and for the same film stars in a sense. So it could also have been how you use social media to reach youth markets. But with all that said, I go back to the original topic, and which is using social media to reach youth markets in India. And the guitar on screen is a tribute to the city, which is the only city which managed to have a Metallica concert finally in India. So very quickly, I saw a lot of hands go up saying they didn't know much about social media, and then which is not a surprise. So very quickly myself, about 13 years experience in the internet space. HomeIndia.com was the first venture which started way back in '98, one of the earliest internet ventures. It was an e-retail venture selling ethnic Indian products to customers outside India. There weren't enough internet users in India at that time, but there were enough outside India, and they were interested in products from India. So we were shipping one piece at a time, pure B2C, to any corner of the world from India. So that was HomeIndia.com. I spent about 9 years there before I divested out. The brand continues to run. It's owned by the new owners. After that, I spent about a year and a half in Delhi with a company called Compare Infobase Limited. I was a COO there. This is a company which owns portals like mapsofindia.com and mapsofworld.com, indiaedu.com, deepreadings.com, some of very large, heavy-duty portals. All of them built around SEO, having very high search rankings, very large advertising incomes, and 1,000 people company at that time, and I was CEO there. But entrepreneurship backend again, so I came back to Mumbai and in 2009 started Social Wavelength, which is a social media agency, and have been running it since last about 2.5 years. And in the context of what Eric mentioned, that social media and social networking is the gold rush, Social Wavelength is a company which makes the picks and the axles. So we are not after the gold, but we'll help anybody who wants to try their luck with the gold. So we'll still make money, I hope. Thanks. These are some of the companies we work with, just again so you get a perspective that where does my experience come from. They are across a variety of sectors. We work with about 60 odd companies as a retailer on social media, several more. And just this is sample brands which we show here, right? So that said now, that's the introduction. Now what we expect to cover today are these 4 things. And I added the number 1, which is a social media strategy 101, after some of the questions which came last evening. And as I sense that there is a mix in the audience, there are people who are still looking to start out and want to have a clue about how to go about social media, how do you just get started. And there are others who will probably find the latter parts more interesting, those who are already experienced and want to understand really the more detailed way of getting across the markets. Having added the social media strategy 101, I've kept it to a brief couple of slides. So that's slide number 1. So at the very outset, it's important to really understand what is social media, because everybody has a certain perception about it. I mean, if I ask a question, more often than not, the answer would be, Facebook. Well, social media is a lot more than Facebook. So let's try and give it a very specific definition. And of course, definitions will differ. The number of people you ask will get slightly different versions. But here's what we believe is social media. It's the online technologies and practices. Important part, the online technologies and practices that people use to do what? To share opinions, insights, experiences, perspectives. Okay, so I'm going to repeat it. So online, so social media is not about 5 of us getting together at a cafe coffee day and chatting. That may be social, but in the context of social media, the way we perceive it here, that's not social media. Social media is what happens online. And it's underlined word people, that people use. Okay? Nowhere in this small little definition is there a word called brands, it's a word called companies, nothing. It's the online technologies and practices that people use to do what? To share opinions, experiences, insights. And share is again a very critical word here. Social media is about sharing. Okay? So having said that, having said that there is no word called brand or no word called company here, where do brands come into this space? Because it's about people, right? Well, within this space where people are interacting with each other, there exists opportunities for brands as well. And what are those opportunities? And we have, again, the way we see it, there are 5 critical opportunities that companies have, that brands have. And again, the way we see it is that it's a step-by-step progress. You start at the first, then go to the second, third, fourth, and fifth. And this is also in context with one of the questions yesterday about how do you get started, do you research or not? So the first opportunity, in fact, the way we look at brands, the first opportunity for them is to listen. Okay? Social media conversations that people have on various formats, whether it's Twitter or blogs or forums, much as they are, you feel that you're conversing with your friends or you're talking to a blogger and commenting there, these conversations are fundamentally public in nature in most cases. Now, whether a blogger has posted a blog and 5 people have commented on it, if it is about a brand, if it is about a product, if it is about product choice, preferences, it is of interest to a concerned brand to tap that blog and see what are the opinions. So listening is what brands get in terms of understanding what does their brand really mean to the customer. You may have a wish that this is where my brand stands, but that's your view. What do the people really think about you? So figuring out what it is that people think about you, what's the buzz, are they complaining, are they cribbing, are they feeling good? Is there a wish list that they're talking about that you as a company or you as a brand could be doing for them? All of this is possible to understand by listening, and this is also in context with one of the participants who had asked yesterday about starting out with a certain research, figuring out what they're talking about so that you can then go and perhaps do the second thing, which is to talk in the context of what your fans or what your prospects really are looking to talk to you about. So the second opportunity is to talk. Now when we think in terms of talking, brands have always talked. The hoardings, the out-of-home hoardings, television commercials, press releases, print ads, they're all talking. But on social media, talking is with a difference. Talking is about starting a conversation. And conversation means a two-way process. Talking, listening, talking, listening. And believe me, in our experience working with lots of brands, this is the toughest thing to get brands to do. Because of the sheer legacy of marketing thought, the first thing they want to do is to go and keep pushing out a communication piece, because that's what they've done for donkey's years. So let's go and put this promotion out, or let's go and talk to about this new product of ours, without knowing what the consumer is really interested to find out from you, or what he wants to ask you. But the real right way to do it is to converse. So that's the second opportunity. Having done that, the third opportunity is to engage. So you started a conversation, now can you create some engagement for them, maybe ask them for some opinions, get them to participate just a little more with you. Maybe create a platform where they don't only talk to you, but they also talk to each other on your platform. They get into that sort of a comfort zone with you as a brand and make it a hub for their conversations around that category. this well, if you've done listening well, if you've done speaking well, you manage to engage them, the next opportunity you have is to evangelize, getting your consumer, your fan, your follower, to go and take your story forward. Go and get more people into your community, pulling them in. And a motivated customer or motivated fan is bigger than any sales force you could get. So that's the fourth opportunity. Can you motivate them to go out and bring more fans in? And the fifth and the final stage that we think of right now is a stage of adopting. Now, adopting is the toughest one to reach. Don't attempt to jump there directly. So what is adopting? Adopting, so there is this classic thing which brands like to say that we are here for our customers and we do what our customers want us to do. Just marketing talk. The reality is, here's my product, I want to sell, I want to try to get the best price for it. That's reality. But when you get to the stage of adopting, you really walk the talk on that statement that we are here to do what our customers want us to do. And this is manifested by concepts like co-creation, for example, or crowdsourcing. So you reach that point, a Starbucks reaches that point when it creates mystarbucksideas.com and asks people to contribute ideas on just about anything and everything that Starbucks could be doing. And it's the people who decide, who vote up or down the suggestions which come in. It's the people who comment on it. They are debating amongst themselves. So Starbucks has created this platform, and then it's sitting by the side, watching what the customers debate and discuss and finalize. And then the few suggestions which move right on the top, which everybody has voted up, after a lot of debate amongst themselves, are the ones which Starbucks looks at and says, okay, if you guys want eco-friendly tissue, we'll do it. We'll start rolling out in North America next month and maybe in other countries and a few more, in the next quarter or whatever. So when you walk into the Starbucks a month later and you see a different kind of tissue which you had voted for, what does that do to you? You feel that, yes, you are shaping Starbucks the way you wanted it to. That's an amazing bond because you're creating the brand in the way you want it. So that's the stage of adoption, whether it's whether a Threadless does it in terms of creating T-shirts which their consumers design for them and the other consumers vote for them. There are a whole bunch of models where co-creation or crowdsourcing is the way the business is starting to happen. But it's indeed the last stage. A brand which is yet to go out and start a conversation would find it hard to get that sort of participation. So anyway, these are some of the fundamentals of what kind of things that brands can do. And so the second slide on social media strategy. So what then, it's still a little bit at a higher level, listening and talking and all, so if you were to think from that point of view and say, okay, tomorrow when I go back to office, is there something which I can take from here? The listening and talking and engaging and all might still sound a little conceptual. So then if I want to drill down to an actual strategy, that what is it that potentially you can do tomorrow? So let's look at that. This is where the going back to the whole fundamental marketing part, let's look at the 4 P's of marketing, or in this case, the 4 P's of social media strategy. The first P is people. Figuring out who it is that you want to reach on social media as a brand. Okay. Now, in traditional terms, when you think of people, you think of them in terms of a demography, description, age, gender, income, urban, rural, metro, whatever. So that's fine, that's your real understanding of your target group. But how do you map it to social media? It's where you try to understand that this audience, this target group of yours, what could it be doing on social media? What are the different kinds of things that people typically do in social media? So there's one behavior which is called the authors. Authors are the people who go and create original content. Whether that content is a blog, it's a tweet, it's a video on YouTube, it's an author, somebody creating original content. There could be people who are critics. So these are not people who create original content, but when they see some interesting content, they are open to putting a comment, putting a review. So they are the people who can react to some existing content. Then there are these collectors or curators. Collectors or curators are people who will share content. So they come across something interesting, they're happy to click that share button and let it flow ahead to their following. So that's again an interesting kind of people. The fourth is joiners, people who just like to join groups. So they'll join a Facebook page or they'll join a group on LinkedIn or put wherever. So these are joiners. Fifth is a profile known as consumers. Now consumers in this context is not the consumer in the marketplace, but a consumer who consumes social media content. They'll read blogs, they'll see videos, but they won't join anything, they won't share, they won't do anything else. But the point is, if he's a consumer and he's looking to buy a car, and he has done his other research elsewhere, and then he comes and looks at some blogs and he sees some videos and he reads some automobile reviews, his final decision on selection of the car will have this as an additional input point. And his decision will be influenced by what he has read and consumed here. So it's very critical for a brand to recognize that consumer is a very critical part of his addressable target group. And the fifth are the people who are inactive, or the sixth rather. They are people who are not on social media. So in case your target group falls into the inactive group, then you don't need to worry much about social media at this time. Now, why this classification is important is because this will define what you go out and do on social media. I mean, I have seen people opening up a blogging platform on their web property that come and blog and asking users to come and blog, without realizing that is my audience the author type at all. So if that's not, then it's just because the technology is available that on the website you can have a place where people can come and blog, and you open it up, it's not going to work. So figuring out where your target group is largely residing amongst these will decide what sort of strategy you will take out in terms of what you do on social media. So that's the first P, is the people. The second P is purpose. Why are we getting into social media? Now, there are all these myths that social media can do everything. I mean, because of the hype factor which Eric mentioned earlier, this whole gold rush that, it can help me bring sales, it can build my brand, it can, protect my reputation, and it can do everything. Now, potentially it could, and some of it may not happen, but in your real world, in your traditional world, you have a different team for sales, you have a different team for marketing, you have a different CRM team, all of them have their own plans and strategies. So you can't expect to come on social media and say all of this with one strategy. It cannot happen. There are 5 different goals. You need to have 5 different strategies for each of them. So when you think in terms of a purpose, articulate the purpose accurately for now. Okay, when I'm working on this strategy, my purpose is maybe to increase the awareness about my brand, or maybe to protect my reputation online. Whatever it is, so figure out what's your purpose here. And once you know who are the people you want to reach, what's the purpose, the third one is a plan. So how do you get there? So if for example, your target group was a joiner category, and your purpose was to increase brand awareness, then the plan could be that, okay, let's create something like a place which people can come and join, and then put out interesting, engagement or content and all, which the joiners will like to consume, and which will enable them to pull more people in, the people like them, and the group becomes larger, and ultimately what it does, it enhances the brand awareness, because larger number of people get to see and understand my brand. So that becomes a very simplistic plan, which has to be followed by the fourth P, which is the process. So that's the detail, the devil, which is the detail, where you figure out, okay, so I need to create this community. So where do I do it? Is Facebook the right place, or is LinkedIn the right place? And then what happens, where do I start? What happens in the first week? What happens in the first month? What are the metrics which I will track to see whether I'm getting anywhere? And after tracking the metrics, do I know, am I doing good enough? What are the benchmarks? Are there domestic benchmarks? Are there other companies in my space who have already started out? Would I be happy with a 5,000 group? Or should I be sad that 5,000 is nothing because my benchmarks are at 50,000? All of those things get into the process space so that you know you're on the right track. Okay. So this is something which potentially you can go back to your offices tomorrow and probably play around for your own brand and see if you can figure something out. So anyway, so these, as I said, were the slide 1 and slide 2 of Social Media Strategy 101, and which then takes us to the key topic, which is the youth markets. And before I actually say how do you get there, let's understand some typical insights for the Indian youth market. And for me, with all this gray hair on my head, it's important for me to get this because besides whatever brands I work with, I have 2 teenage daughters, and if I have to get across to them, I need to understand these insights as much as I need to understand for the brands who want to reach youth markets. So that's where my inspiration comes. So these are some of the thoughts. Youth want to have fun. And when I say they want to have fun, they want to have fun while working, they want to have fun while engaging with friends, they want to have fun at home, they want to have fun at offices. Fun is a very crucial element of the young person's life. I actually saw an interesting video a few days back, which of course was talking about American youth, and which said that today, by the time a person is of age 21 in the US, he would have consumed or he would have experienced 10,000 hours of gaming. 10,000 hours of gaming by the time you're 21. And the video also said that they could have consumed a lot of porn as well in the same period. Now, what does it do to his head? There is a disconnect from reality. There is a certain fantasy world which has been built in the head. Now, to this person, if you go and talk logic, if you say that, you need to work hard so that you'll make a good career for yourself and, you'll do well for yourself in life, the thought comes that, okay, some magic wand will come and, I'll be good anyway, because that's the fantasy life they have grown up with. And even if it's not 10,000 hours in India, it could still be a lot of gaming which an urban youth, especially in a higher section of society, would be experiencing today. Now, these are the people who then want to have fun more often than not. So, can your strategy include an element of fun for them? Is the point. So that's the one insight. The second insight is, it's about me. For the youth, it's about me and myself. What are you offering me? So you want me to become a fan of your page? Is there a contest? Can I win something? Can you give me something for free? They'll hop. Loyalty is less. Responding to selfish interest is more. Again, it's a reality. If you are part of the youth and you are not like that, you're probably the exception. Okay. Third element is an element of fame. Can we give them a 15 seconds of fame or whatever, 30 seconds of fame? So this is I think this must be somewhere in Manhattan, where on a big out-of-home hoarding there is a consumer who's found his place photograph there, maybe for 5 seconds, maybe for 15 seconds. And that's a huge high. We were running a promotion for Just Dance for Star Plus, and we had this augmented reality activity happening in malls where one could go and stand somewhere and it would appear that Hrithik Roshan is standing next to him. And we'd click photographs and they would be shared on Facebook. People were absolutely thrilled to have that. It wasn't even Hrithik physically, it was an AR augmented reality thing. But it worked because first they thought they could share that picture with their friends where it seemed like they were standing next to Hrithik. And that was a high. So it's like that, just giving them that few seconds of fame. Can you do that with your brand? Can you say, okay, the fan will be on my next TVC or something, and can you compete to be that fan, to be that one person who will be on the television? Believe me, they'll work hard for that. Bollywood is big, like it or not. So we're in Bangalore, I'm not sure what's the following of Bollywood, but Bollywood is a generic term. I'm saying Indian films, it's a huge influencer in this space. Even with bombs, films failing on box office or whatever, but Bollywood is a very critical and integral part of people's lives. And we've seen it big time. And whether we are promoting a brand which is selling electrical, or we are promoting a brand which is telecom, as long as there's a Bollywood angle, people seem to love it. Okay. Music is again a very large factor, and music is not just music in the sense of consuming music, but in terms of discovering music, doing some personalization, some sharing music. All of them are very critical elements of a youth's life. Okay, so again, all these insights are from the point of view that if you are addressing the youth markets, do you consciously use some of these elements there? Because they work. Because this is what they're interested in. The concept of now, right here, right now. So a t-shirt says, I want instant gratification and I want it now. Okay, so it's that very short attention span. It's an impulsive world. It's, okay, tell me what I need to do now. If you say that I need to come, if you have a game or if you have a contest which needs me to come every day for next 4 weeks, forget about it. I just don't have that kind of time. Is there something I can participate right now in the next 30 seconds? I will do that. And can I know a result, 2 hours later? Did I win something? Did I not win something? I want to be done with and get away. That's the world. That's the instant gratification right here, right now kind of world. And that's again where we are. That's what youth like. Humor continues to engage, and especially the candid camera style of humor where you have fun at somebody else's expense. So, whether it's creating a Facebook engagement where you can take a friend's photo and make some changes on it and then share it. All of these things work because you're having fun at somebody else's expense. Okay. The concept of thrill, and thrill especially from the point of view that thrill which is on the borderline of being not legitimate stuff. So for example, breaking a traffic signal is a thrill. Breaking a traffic signal in front of a cop who is standing there and zooming away is an even bigger thrill which the youth like. Okay. So these are the kind, whether it's that or anything, bungee jumping or any of these kind of things are what excite. So again, can you give them that experience? If yours is especially an experiential brand, if you're a Red Bull, that's perfectly suited for you. Because you are about experiential adventure. Get them involved. Okay. Romance, in a very different sense. Where is romance today? Romance is, today, it's about casual dating. It's about being obsessive. All of those, again, this is a scene from, what is that? Love Ka Diya, right? So it's about that, just taking your revenge because somebody didn't treat you well. All of those. Now again, where do you use the element? These are all insights. It may apply in some of your brands where you can wean it into your strategies. You should. Technology is such a big part today, okay? A mobile phone today is what cars used to be maybe 15, 20 years back. It's that gadget which gives the youth his time and space, his release. He's in the home, but what he does on his phone, his parents don't know. Earlier it was the car or the motorbike which he would ride away so that he could be away in his own space. Now, he could be or she could be in the house, but with her gadget, she could find her own space and time. So gadgets excite. They want to change the phone every few months. They want to keep talking about new applications which they can download. They want to share stuff on each other's mobile, the Bluetooths and the WhatsApps, and all of these are very big. WhatsApp, sorry. So technology is again extremely crucial for the youth. Okay. So these were some insights. It is some of these insights, all of them may or may not apply when you think of your brand and how you're creating a strategy, but wherever they apply, they're very crucial insights. These are valid as much for traditional and mainline marketing as they are for new media and social media. Okay. So where do brands come in now? Okay, so let's think of brands. So of course, enough statistic which I don't even want to give, that what percentage of India is below 25 and what percentage is below 30, and we know that. The story is well published. Which is why the youth market is what everyone wants. As I said, whether you're selling insurance, whether you're selling adult diapers, you want to sell to the youth because he can give it to his grandfather or whatever. So it's still the youth which is the market. But for a brand, wanting to reach the youth market is not the same as doing it. Every brand market, everybody wants to say, I want to reach the youth. But let me put a big print ad. Okay, the youth are not reading the newspaper. You still want to keep doing the old stuff. So it's just like using old wine in new bottles. So just, okay, let me put a Facebook link on my press ad, on my print ad. But they are not seeing your print ad. So putting a Facebook link is lost there. So you thought that you put a Facebook link, so now I am with it, I'm going to get my youth market. Chosen the wrong media. It's like this. I mean, what's a young person more likely to be doing? And still, where does the money go? We know where it goes. It goes on to that newspaper, unfortunately. So we talk about not doing that sort of carpet bombing by going into the newspapers and television and pushing the thing. So even if let's look at one classic case in recent times, which is the Airtel campaign for Her Friends Every Day. Absolutely fantastic campaign. Worked on television, but it's on YouTube that has got close to 2 million views. So it amplified then again on YouTube. And today as I speak, I happen to know they're going to do something more even fun. And just wait, December is the time when some launch is happening. So that's the interesting thing. You know, they realize that this is the space. What they're going to do in December won't even see television. Oops, I had an NDA and I just gave it stuff. So the way that youth take purchase decisions has changed. So what you want to do is to get into the buying decision journey for youth. If you're looking to sell to the youth, there is a buying decision journey. It's not about that traditional funnel of reaching the maximum number of people and then some of them interested and then some of them will buy. Those days are gone. The new buying decision journey has, the first phase is the awareness or consideration phase, which traditionally used to be that mass market thing. Today, it could happen on a YouTube campaign, for that matter. So your target market is aware of your product and gets into their consideration space if they are looking to purchase. The second point is where the evaluation stage happens. This is where the person who's deciding to purchase evaluates between the options which he has. Then actual buying happens, which happens the point of sale related opportunities. And usually for the traditional selling journey, it would end there, that somebody has bought. But in this new buying decision journey, it continues. There's a loyalty loop where advocacy happens. A person after purchasing wants to go and talk about it, talk about the experience of using it. In any case, it's not a product that he buys, it's the experience that the product gives that is really being purchased, and that experience happens after the product is purchased and is starting to get used. And that's what he goes and shares. So he buys a fancy new phone, but it's the cool game that he can play well, that's what is his big high. So that's what he goes and shares. Okay. Now the reality is that because there's still such a huge legacy of old style marketing, the most money is spent in number 1 and number 3, which is build, traditional media, television, newspapers, whatever, and then at the point of sale, the promotions. Whereas the most engagement or discussion points happen at number 2 and number 4, the evaluation stage where he's talking to people and asking them, okay, whether this phone or that phone or this car or that car, and also post-purchase, sharing the experience. Is the brand even listening to that? Because that sharing decides the further repeat purchase, as well as it shares to the friends of the purchaser that whether they should bring this brand into their consideration space at all. The point is, for those critical touch points, do brands even have budgets to spare? Because they'll spend them all in the awareness and the promotions. So the most budgets get allocated to the creative side, which is usually large television ads and the media buying. Allocations are about platform choices, how much on radio and how much on television, how much on print, and usually digital getting the loose change. and this doesn't work. And a lot of brands still do not have budgets provided for what can be thought of as non-work. From a traditional point, it's a non-work areas like creating, managing, and monitoring owned and earned media. So these are your Facebook pages, your Twitter accounts, your blogs, your YouTube channel, as well as those which are being created by consumers. So to go and look at them, monitor them, respond to them, all of that takes money. Are budgets even kept for that? So that's the challenge which I have with people trying to reach youth markets. And it's more about introspection. If you have your brand which is looking to reach the youth markets, these are some of the thoughts. I mean, are you allocating budgets? These are the kind of stuff which you need to think through. That said, I'll just quickly take you through a youth brand which is something we worked on. And this was Channel V. Channel V is absolutely and totally focused on the youth market. The challenge was this. What was involved? They were creating this event in Goa called India Fest earlier this year. India Fest was expected to be the largest college festival, college student festival, the most number of college students they wanted to bring at a single location. That was the ambition. So they needed to reach out to as many college students and put across the India Fest opportunity to them. So the target group was college students from everywhere. The event was supposed to be India's largest intercollegiate event. And the goal was to reach as large a number as possible, in as short a time as possible, at as low a cost as possible. Right? The marketing wish list. Biggest reach, fastest time, lowest cost. Right? Sure. This was the event, Nokia India Fest. So what we did, we used some of the learning which we have from social media, and we figured what works, what doesn't. So as a brand, we don't recommend to do the farm wheels. We say just keep it simple as possible. The causes that get large-scale participation are not the kind which change the world, but about simpler issues in life. Cleaning the street on my road, or going out on a candlelight march, something very simple, straightforward where I can participate. The big issues, what about world peace and all? People realize somehow the concept is that it's beyond me. Let me do what I can, where I can make an impact. So simple things in life. Passion drives viral engagement. So can you get the element of passion into your promotion, into your activity? So it's not about what you want, it's about what will create their passion. Why would they want to participate? Armchair activism works. Okay? Unfortunately, that's true. It's like, can I show my solidarity by going and clicking a like? I'll do that. Ask me to come and clean the streets, very few people will show up. But I would think that having clicked the like, I have done my bit. My armchair activism, I support the cause. So that works. Impulsive participation. If something comes up in front of me, hey, it's a no-brainer, let me do it. So impulsive, right there, not much to think. And then there is an easy way to recruit more. So you got few people, can it become viral? Can they go and get more and more people very easily without too much of a process challenge? Of course, in doing all this, whatever activation is being done, is it core to your TG and is it core to your focus? I mean, is it close to what you really want to achieve in terms of a business goal? So with all this, it might come out like a fantastic game, but it has nothing to do with your business focus, then again, you're going completely off track. So what we ended up doing is a very simple idea. It's called Subsay Like College. The most like college. Okay, and very small, very simple idea, which worked well. So what was involved? The application ran on Channel V's Facebook page. There was typically, as usual, there is a pre-like lure and a post-like revelation of what was it all about. So that was a fan-built strategy. You had to like to understand what was there for you. The display picture promoted the activity, as you can see this display picture. There was a simple 3-step promotion, participation. What a person had to do was to go and like the college, your college. If you didn't find your college, add your college. So supposing you were in a college which somehow didn't make it to the, we had a large list of colleges which was already pre-populated, but for some reason if you went to a college which was not listed there, you could actually go and add that college and go ahead and like it. That's, you like that college. Subse like college, remember, the most like college. One could vote for more than one college, simply because one could have gone to more than one college. So you say, okay, my graduate program was here and postgraduate was there, and I like both of them, so I could go and vote for more than one. On the mini page, there was a mini page for each college. So if you go to the college page, you would see the names and photographs of all those who have voted for the college. So chances are you'll find some of your friends already there. And that will motivate you more, as Facebook does all the time. These are all, so-and-so people have already liked this page, which are your friends. So you feel, okay, maybe there's something interesting. And same way, we look to see that if your friends had already voted for the college, they'll be figuring there. A leaderboard was shown, which would constantly show which were the top colleges. So if you suddenly find your colleges knocked down a few places, you might be motivated to go and recruit more friends from your college. You're already in the college, you go to college every day and you say, guys, you must go and vote, we need to be the top. So easy way to recruit, passionate engagement, because my college first is what a person feels like. So that got them going. The invite friends link was also there. So while you are there, you can quickly go and invite. So you might go and invite all the other classmates with whom you're already connected on Facebook. And we also promoted this on other college forums and discussion groups and all. Regular posts about the event kept happening from the Facebook page. And all this was about increasing awareness around India Fest. And of course, the youth, the college people are anyway a target group for Channel B. And this led to an amplification on the growth. So what was the result? This ran from December 12 to January 31st. The fan base on December 12 was 343,000 roughly. And on January 31, it hit 648,000. Huge jump. Right now it's a million plus right now. We continue to service them. So the growth of more than 89% in about 50 days. With a very simple idea. Almost no cost. There was some media spend, just to be honest, but it was very nominal on Facebook. Large part of it was viral. Okay, simple idea which worked. Yeah, that's what I have to share on the subject of youth markets. Happy to take questions. Yeah.
If you don't mind, can you please share the budget what you spent for that particular campaign you did?
I think in all the spend, including a small application build, was there. It's about 5 lakhs.
Thank you.
Our retainer are not included in that. Those happen irrespective of this idea.
Sanjay, sir.
Hi Sanjay, it was a wonderful presentation. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
And I have a question. Like, I'll go by the example which you have given for the automobile. And I'm Krishna from Logix Microsystems.
From?
See, Logix Microsystems.
Okay.
Now, we go generate market which is very narrowed, for example, automobile. How do you actually focus or change the strategy for a very narrowed niche? Like buying a car or targeting a car is very narrowed to specific location. People may not be interested to show, for a range of 50 kilometers and above. You may not be targeting audience. So, what kind of strategy can work for this kind of narrowed market?
No, if you give an example of automobile, so the automobile, there is on one side there is a brand which has to sell, and the actual delivery or the actual transaction happens in showrooms which are near your geography. But the showroom, driving footfall into the showroom is a lot of brands, as you would see, are first going to make sure that the brand becomes interesting. So all the large monies which are spent on, print, television is just so that, okay, the Jetta people need to be interested in the Jetta. After that, there is a phone number to call, and they'll divert you to the nearest dealer or the nearest showroom. So that's how typical distribution works here. So I mean, automobile is probably not the best example if you talk about localized approach. The localized approach might be relevant for like a one-off boutique coffee shop or a florist or something which works in a certain small geography and doesn't want to necessarily waste their efforts going national or something like that. Now, if a Facebook or a Twitter strategy could still be interesting to them, they will not actively go and look for people outside that area. The platform is visible from anywhere in the country or the world, but they will engage with people, either the people who are already walking in, get them to become fans, or push out, maybe any other activities which are fairly localized. So if you are in Koromangal and there is a Koromangal residents page or a group, you'll go and talk there, and maybe you'll mention that, hey, by the way, we are on Facebook, you want to check us out here. Make sure anybody who's walking into the boutique gets a card that, become a fan and you might get 10% off in your next order or something like that. So you make sure that existing customers are all your fans. So a local approach is more relevant for a local business. Car was probably not the best example. Car would definitely want to do a brand building at a national level.
Thank you.
Sanjay sir.
Yeah.
Here. Prashant Naidu.
Yeah.
It's always great to listen to you whenever you give presentations. I have two questions for you. One is that when we speak about youth, targeting on social media, two big brand names come up, MTV, Channel V. But okay, I'll quote the MTV example, and you can tell if it has happened in your Channel V. Okay, whenever we see a content being posted on a Facebook, right, MTV or these brands come up and says, okay, fine, we have so many likes, so many comments, but you actually, drill down those comments, says 50 to 60% are not related to the objective of that content that has been posted. One is that, how do you see this about? And did you, actually, because measuring fans is great, but are you measuring these kinds of things? How much, the content that's being shared and people that are commenting and that engagement, is it in line with the objective of the content? That's the first question. And second is, you also said in Channel V, with the online engagement, you had offline engagement. So my question is that, was that engagement of online, offline, were in line, or were they entirely different? Because I've seen brands who have an online engagement and offline, but they don't have a link up. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay.
Thanks.
So coming to the first question, that when fan conversations happen on a particular fan page, and if they are not even about the brand or not even about the post, what about it? So I look at it this way, that first of all, they have become a fan of your page, and nobody has coaxed them, nobody has forced them to become a fan. So you did something right to get them to become a fan. Okay. So first, let's accept that was a good thing. Now they are on your page, and why do they want to converse with each other about something else on your page? Do they find that your page gives them a certain sense of comfort? It's like supposing on a rainy day in Mumbai, a brand decides to put up a shamiana so that people who are stuck in the rain can go and rest themselves below that shamiana and save themselves from being wet. Now, when you are under the shamiana, you may be still talking about your own stuff and not talking about the brand which is up there. But there is some subconscious factor that you're thanking the brand for having provided that shamiana where you are comfortable in talking to each other. So I think it's not. I mean, ideally you would like them to converse about what you posted and about your brand and everything. But once in a while, if some of these happen, I don't really care. I mean, morning also there was a question that what if the fan is never bought your product, or what if he's not likely to buy a product? Some of the fans, do you know your fans? I said, do you know all the people who are seeing your out-of-home hoarding for which you are paying for the traffic on that road? Are they all of them your customers? You've chosen a location because you feel that 20% of all traffic here will be my target group. But the 80% is getting wasted, and you are still paying for that because the cost of that hoarding is on account of the 100% traffic. So if you get a certain mix of people, I mean, you don't pay for buying a fan who is never going to buy it. So you target your demography right. But if some others have landed up, I mean, I don't consider that as a problem at all. So let's not get stuck up so much that every fan has to be precisely my target group. They have to buy today or tomorrow. Doesn't matter. Let some of them be there. Doesn't matter. They add to the numbers. Maybe you put up an interesting content. They'll share, and in their shared friends, some of them might be a PG. So think like that. So once in a while, other conversation, not such an issue. Second question, please, Prashant. I forgot to say. Just quickly, I remember. Just tell me the name.
He's forgotten the question as well.
Then tell me.
My second question was that, sorry for that, channel, like your...
Yeah, online, offline. Okay, got it. So online, offline, integrated campaigns, that's a wish list. We keep telling brands to be consistent in their online and offline approach. Often they are not. Because, brands have their own organizational challenges. I mean, there are different people currently in the organization, the way it is structured. There's somebody else in charge of some other offline activity. There's somebody else in charge of an online, a digital campaign. And if we say that, no, it has to be all integrated, it has to be consistent, maybe the campaign will never happen. So wherever there is a room to get them together, that's the ideal wish list. If it doesn't happen, doesn't matter. I mean, again, our approach at Social Wellness is, there's an ideal way of doing things, but I'm not stuck up if a brand says, I want to do this much first, because it's in his experimentation with that little bit that he will learn that this works, and gradually will prevail upon him that, it would have been even better if it had been consistent and, the offline and online had been, integrated well. So if it doesn't happen, doesn't matter. As long as he's doing something, he's learning, he's getting some activations, he's discovering something, that's important for me. The brand has to dabble in order to get actual conviction about the medium.
Okay, we'll take one last question from the lady there.
Sir, I'm a journalism student, and when you were talking about the youth, you mentioned fun and technology, but you forgot to mention education and career. Because today there's so much competition, especially competition when it comes to studying abroad. So I think that is something you should have included in your presentation.
I told you about insights, and the insights say that education and career, unfortunately, are not that high. I mean, maybe you're part of the youth and you might disagree with me, but this is the insight that education and career, that if I take that angle, I definitely want my daughters or the youth to lay an emphasis on that get a good education, make sure you're career focused. But by going and talking about that, they're not interested. If you can do social gaming in which you integrate some education opportunity, that will work better, because the way to them, push something on technology, get them to learn something using a cell phone in an interesting way. So it's still education. So as a brand, if I'm in an education space and I want to reach the audience, if I keep talking theoretical that, this for your career and you do this and you'll be competitive and all, people are talking about present. The youth today live for today. So largely, okay, again, these are all generalizations, they are insights, may not apply to you. You might be one of the most motivated individuals, so you're very career focused and all that. I'm talking in general. So they're living for today. And in that sense, okay, we'll think about tomorrow when it comes. But at the same time, if we can find a way to get into that subtle stream of fun and games and technology and still get them to do something interesting with education, that's the challenge for the education brand. That's the challenge for the bank brand. That's the challenge for the insurance brand, because they're not going to listen to typical insurance speech.
Sanjay, this question is more on the futuristic approach. Right now you quoted one of the examples of Channel V as one of the campaigns. How do you see forward social media integrating with broadcasting?
Very interesting question. That's my favorite.
To just give you, just right now, a month back, Fever FM, it has introduced a very unique tool in their fan page, where you can dedicate song, you can select the song, and they also give you the time when your song will be played. That's one of the examples of symbiotic relationship. But when it comes to television media, how do you think this is going to go forward in India?
It's an extremely interesting question, because, with all the brands which are getting into social media, most of the time, you can only create awareness or interest, and you still need to take them to the stores to consume your product or purchase your product. When it's television or media, the consumption itself can happen here. Okay, if a television channel thinks of itself as a television channel, they are thinking wrong. They have to think of themselves as content producers. Channel V is a classic example. The youth are not watching as much television anymore. So can Channel V think that, hey, we are a television channel, oh, the cheese has moved, so we settle down with a lesser TRP or lesser number of viewers. What do I do? I have to just accept the fate. As again that they think, listen, we are content producers. We cater to a certain audience. We have a certain character about us. Let's go and deliver it to them wherever they are. And let's give them. So it's not the same television programming. You can package it into different kind of packages on mobile, on iPad, and whatever format that somebody is consuming, and be there. So that's one very fundamental factor for media, that your consumption of your product itself can happen on these platforms. So anybody else doesn't have that opportunity. The second is, when you think in terms of social, as Jim mentioned in the morning, like Get Glue is challenging Nielsen from a ratings point of view. The reason is that today, television consumption increasingly is becoming a multi-screen experience. While you are watching television, you have your iPad on, your phone on, especially for reality shows, for sport, for things of that kind. And you'll be sitting alone in your hall and watching a cricket match, but virtually you will be in a stadium with thousands of others on Twitter and sharing your experience that, oh, this was a bad ball and why did he ball outside the leg stump and he should have done this. And you're sharing that while the match is going on. And if supposing it's a VJ who's playing on television or some show, and you say, oh, this guy sucks. Now for a television channel, it's instantaneous feedback. In Kaun Banega Crorepati, the question was not right or something like that. There's instantaneous feedback that, maybe we need to fix this. People don't seem to like it. There's a pulse of the programming getting known to the brand right there. So it's an extremely interesting space for media. We work with all the Star television channels, so we Plus and Channel V World and Movies and FX and Prime and everyone. So we've done some fun stuff with them, and we find it a very exciting space. Thanks.
Sanjay, there's a question. Here I am.
Yeah.
Saptarshi here. In fact, thanks for your insightful presentation.
Thank you.
There's a question that social media is a classic case of a problem of plenty.
Classic case
problem of plenty.
Okay.
And in terms of sheer volume of data.
Okay.
And so it is more important for us now to how we manage the data and how we really get the insight out of it. So there comes the role of the right tool, which we are using.
Right.
There are typically your brand monitoring tool, brand mention tools, then blog buzz tools, and also various trend trackers.
Right.
So given the sheer volume of such tools in various typically buckets, if you see the names like say cloud, then buzzmetrics, radian 6, and also say social mentions. So can you give some insights that which are the tools which one can, like a startup, can really think of, and someone like in B2B space who can really think of?
Right, sure.
Two different spectrums actually.
No, absolutely. So, I understand the challenge in terms of the problem of plenty, which, however, is a problem for few brands, not many. So, giving that problem of plenty as an excuse is not valid for most brands, where if you put a Radian 6 search out there and you get 50 mentions a day, I mean, you could look at all 50, okay? You don't need to find a way to reduce and say, only let me see the top 5 or something like that. When it becomes 5,000 a day or 50,000 a day, that's when you have a problem that, you just not have the bandwidth to handle all of them. So here, so tools are part. The tools are coming up every single day. A new tool comes up, and the existing tools keep enhancing themselves with more features, and you keep track of that. But the approach, I mean, what do you really want to do? When you get a problem of plenty, which means there are lots of people conversing about you or about your category, what you want to do is then, and when it gets to that point, is to figure out which of these are the influencers. That becomes the most critical, because you may have to ignore several. So which are the ones which you ignore? You'll ignore those tweets which are having 5 followers and 20 followers, but you can't ignore posting on a forum which has 5,000. If you're a pharma company and it's got 5,000 physicians on that forum, you better listen what they are talking about you. If there's any negative mention, or if there's any changing trends, you want to see there. So it finally will boil down to understanding who are your influencers and ensuring that those conversations get tracked even at the cost of not listening or not doing about everything, and that's only when it becomes an actual problem of plenty. Till it doesn't, it's important to try and listen everything. Now what happens to the rest of these conversations? You say, okay, ignore and not do anything about it? No, for the rest of them which you don't respond on one-on-one basis, you still want to do a fundamental sentiment track and see broad shifts. If suddenly over time your share of voice with regards to your competitor is going down, or your sentiments are going down in that mass space, you may have a problem coming up your way. That's when you want to drill down and see, okay, did we do something wrong, or the competitor has done something really good? So the rest of it gets into a certain statistical management in terms of tracking sentiment percentages, share of voice, and things of that kind. Influencers, you look at every conversation to see if something is coming up. So that becomes the approach. Tools apart, there are many tools.